morning, viewers, and it is my pleasure to welcome you once again for the Stakeholder Outreach Initiative by P3 World Council. We are overwhelmed with the response that we are getting for this initiative, where we are bringing you updates from across the world in context to what is happening and how the markets are responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, and also a brief perspective about how PPPs and how the PPP ecosystem has got affected. I'm glad, and today I am bringing you once again, I'm taking you rather to once again to Latin America. And the place that I am in today is the place of tortillas, burritos, and tacos. And another name that this country is known by is the gateway to Latin America. I won't keep you much guessing. We are today in Mexico. And it's a beautiful place. It has seen a lot of positive projects, a lot of positive markets that have shown acceptance for PPP projects. And I'm glad to have with me a very learned and experienced professional engineer, Oscar Cortes. So before, as we do it every time, let me first introduce you briefly to Engineer Oscar. Engineer Oscar is a highly experienced binational consultant project management engineer with history of effective leadership for major civil engineering initiatives, design, construction and economic feasibility studies, and stewardship of large infrastructure capital projects and PPPs, not only in Mexico, but as well as the United States of America. As I said to you, his academic credentials are indeed impressive. He has a master's degree in economic valuations from the Universidad Autónoma de Baja California, which is known as the UABC. He's a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from San Diego State University, postgraduate degree specialist in public-private partnership projects from Instituto Tecnológico Estudio Superior de Monterrey. It's a difficult name, but rather just I managed it. And also he holds a certificate degree specialist in urban planning from Universidad Iberoamericana. He is also the vice president for international relations, Federación Mexicana de Colegios de Ingenieros Civiles, which is also known by the name of FEMCIC. Viewers, we are glad to have Engineer Oscar, who brings with him an enormous experience and who has seen PPPs evolve in Mexico. From where they were nothing to where they are now. He has seen it going through all the ups and downs, and we would like to understand from him how the PPPs have evolved, how the markets are responding. So Oscar, welcome for the P3 World Council Stakeholder Outreach Initiative. We thank you for taking time out to be with us.
Thank you so much, Harshal. It's a pleasure being with you. I'm glad, and the country representative for the P3 World Council. To me, it's an honor to be representing my country, Mexico, in this great organization. I have been following this organization for a while, and I think you guys are doing a great job. And this information and this type of platforms you're using really increases the awareness how things are done in different parts of the world. So I think it's a good opportunity for everybody. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, Engineer Oscar. And viewers, one important thing that I would like to highlight is Oscar also happens to be the country representative for P3 World Council for the country of Mexico. So, Engineer Oscar, let's begin with the interaction. And my first question to you is, of course, to understand how the entire COVID-19 pandemic, which has hit the world in an unprecedented way, how has it affected the entire business environment in Mexico, and how is it responding? Which are the key sectors that have got affected?
Well, the news is not too promising, as you well know, in different parts in the entire world, as we're going through this crisis with the COVID, and it's really affected the economy. And in Mexico, specifically, we have a substantial drop in the gross domestic product, yearly around 19% drop, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
The worst drop in modern Mexico history. So you can imagine the scale of the problem.
Yeah.
We also have a large informal economy, I would say
Yeah.
a third to 40%, roughly maximum is, there's a lot in the informal economy. And the formal economy, we rely a lot on tourism, which has dropped substantially, obviously, because of the lack of visitors to the COVID-19. We also had a big drop in manufacturing in the construction sector. So all in all the major income generator opportunities for Mexico have been low. And this
Okay.
is to be understand, we're looking at roughly about 20% unemployment, which
Okay.
is extremely high. We're looking at diminishing tax revenues from the tax collection systems due to the business being closed, obviously, and not enough revenue. So it is bleak,
Okay.
but there's a silver lining for the future, I think, and we can talk about it later.
Okay, okay, okay. I mean, 19% contraction in the GDP. I mean, that's like huge, and the unemployment that you have mentioned. Of course, I'm sure along with the formal sector, the informal sector also would have got impacted very, very severely if that is the kind of impact that you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the unemployment involves both sectors, the informal and the obviously the informal economy right now. They can even work on the street.
I
You know,
understand that.
the
I
local
understand.
vendors of food and other stuff, they're prohibited from working. So that contributes to the high unemployment because it is count.
I know.
But also the tourism has really hit us hard.
Okay.
So one of the big sectors that have been dropping, obviously, is the construction sector.
Yes.
Before it was categorized as being a priority sector.
Hmm.
This was done in the late June and early July, so it's come back a little bit, but it's not even close to half
Okay.
50% of what the area is.
Hmm.
Tourism is about 25% of the expected revenue, so we're down like 75%, which is a lot. Manufacturing has substantially it dropped around 10-15%, but now it's really coming back strong because we still manufacture. And now that we have signed
Okay.
a new trade agreement with the United States, the US, Mexico, Canada Accord, I think that's going to help a lot. We
Yeah.
have a lot of interdependency, economic interdependency in the northern part of America,
Correct.
in particular with the United States. So there's, as they say, if United States goes, Mexico goes. So
Yeah.
uh, things are picking up in the United States. That will help to
Mm.
rebound in Mexico too. The sectors that have been dropping more, obviously, from a triple P perspective, are the road infrastructure tollings,
Yes.
the toll roads. I mean, those are really down. Obviously, people are not working; they're working from home if they are working. So
Okay.
the toll infrastructure is constantly down. We have had an increase in the medical hospital uh,
Okay.
facilities. Excuse me, that some of them were really where they had a full capacity. Some of them are overburdened by this. So that's probably a sector that could potentially look at a bright future where they can invest in triple Ps in
Correct.
the healthcare sector.
Hmm.
Uh, and I see an opportunity right now in the digital economy,
Okay.
the sector involved with the fiber optics and the broadband. I
Yes.
think that there is quite a cut projects there. I'm involved in one right now in the central Mexico,
Mhm.
and I think that's a way to go, definitely to make all
That's
the
great to know. That's great.
Mexico completely connected.
That's great to know. Oscar, whatever my study goes and whatever I've read about Mexico, PPPs have been there since a long time, and certainly it has seen a good evolution, rather. I mean, it has evolved quite maturely in the markets. Right now, also, when I see there are a lot of toll projects, I mean, toll road projects and infrastructure, as you just mentioned, with regards to PPPs that the government is undertaking. What I want to understand from you is what have been some of the success factors. Let's first focus on the success factors. Can you please highlight with regards to your experience of 30 plus years in the market? What have been like the top three success factors for for PPP projects in Mexico?
Well, I think the success factors are related to having a strong legal framework. I think
Okay.
we have a very good institutionalized legal framework that it really helps facilitate that. The climate for investment prior to COVID-19 was very favorable. We have an emerging economy, the 10th largest in the world.
Mhm.
Sometimes it goes to 12, sometimes it goes down to 8, but
Yeah.
we're one of around 10%, the 10 largest in the world. So we're an emerging country with a lot of potential. We also have a young population. No,
Yes.
about 50% of the population of Mexico is 30 years and below. So that it's a bonus to have
Correct.
a population that young that will have a lot of work, hopefully,
Mhm.
and they will contribute to the economic development. So overall, those are the macro elements that are involved with the triple Ps. We have been doing triple Ps in Mexico since the 1990s.
Mhm. Yeah.
Roughly when in England it started in the late 80s and early 90s
That's
as
a
a
quite
project.
early adoption. Yeah.
In Mexico, we did aggressively pursue the triple Ps and road infrastructure.
Mhm.
There are some lessons learned,
Mhm.
in particular the risk transfer of the traffic.
Mhm.
It was assumed that completely by the developer, and that's a lessons learned because it didn't work out
Okay.
to the point that they were bailed out.
Yes.
But out of that came a lot of opportunities to really implement a better risk assessment. I think that's another thing that we have implemented a tool.
Correct. Correct.
We have in the toolbox. If you're
Mhm.
a P3 practitioner, you have a lot of information you can handle from lessons learned, but you also have performance indicators and you have eligibility index. So not all projects are triple Ps, and they got to
Yeah.
qualify. So there's a index that we
Mhm.
use a lot. It gives the opportunity to really clear if the project is bankable and it's going to be successful triple P. So
Mhm.
a lot of it is with the experience we've been having. We have had good experience and also bad experience, but in the end, all the experience is good, even the bad
Yes.
one,
Yes.
because you get lessons learned. So I think
Absolutely.
that's the important thing.
Absolutely. One of the thing, Oscar, I mean, see, one of the endeavor for with this stakeholder outreach initiative is in when we reach out to countries which have seen PPPs evolve for 30 plus years or 20 plus years, they have seen their fair share of successes and failures. And as you just now mentioned, yes, it's not that every time it will be successful, but yes, failures are needed. And from those failures, someone else can learn. We all learn from each other. And that's an important point that you made. One thing that I picked from your conversation when I asked you about the success factors, and this point has been repeated, I mean, across different parts of the world. And I feel we can certainly say that a very strong legal framework, assisted with a regulatory framework, is one of the most important factors that not only increases the bankability of the project, but also adds up to the success factor or a PPP project being successful. I mean, it just acts as an automated mechanism, is what I'm understanding. That every country that is keen to take up PPP projects, they need to first lay a strong foundation, first with a very strong and with an experienced legal and a regulatory framework. That would be essential. My question to you, Oscar, in this regard is, with regards to the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm coming back again to that. With regard and in context to the PPP projects, how do you see, I mean, how they have got affected, and how do you see the economic recovery, especially for PPP projects? I mean, how much time do you think it will take, and which would be the key sectors? Do you see a change of sectors that would see growth in the post-COVID-19 market? What are your views on that?
Well, like I mentioned before, I can see right now, I think we're pushing hard for the making the digital economy work more.
Okay.
And we need to implement a country-wise. We have
Uh-huh.
a strong coverage of broadband, but there are places like in rural areas where there is no access. So
Mhm.
I think that, and we're working on P3s that involve that. we need to have a digital way, a platform to communicate. This is going to be the trend in the future, definitely. So
Correct.
that will be the main thing I will see. I think transportation continues to be strong.
Yes.
We are heavily now using the concept called asset management. We're not necessarily building new infrastructure. The existing brownfield projects are unwrapped, that are called, and the ones that are close to finish it, we can pick them up and do a maintenance assessment
Mhm.
project that will extend the life of the project for another 30 years. So those type of triple Ps are common now. We use it a lot. The asset management triple Ps and road infrastructure, where
Okay.
a old road that is near to the term, it's extended by
Yes.
bringing it up to certain standards,
Correct.
international standards. So we do a
Correct.
lot of that, and I can see a lot in the medical and hospital
Yes.
um, opportunity. Even though we had in the past some
Hmm.
bad experiences sometimes building hospitals where
Hmm.
we didn't have the staffing ready for that, but it was available. The
Correct.
the
Correct.
developer did his job. I think we can do that. But
Yeah.
going back a little bit with your comment about the legal ramifications of a triple Ps and what is important, I agree. That's the main thing. If you don't have a
Yeah.
square legal
I
framework,
know.
it's hard to create an
Absolutely.
environment of trust. But then also capacity building is very important. It's not.
Yeah.
We need to increase the capacity not only of the professionals but also the officials, the
Hmm.
ones that review your project. So we need to
Correct.
increase that. And we at the Mexican Federation of Civil Engineers, FEMCIC,
Hmm.
Federación Mexicana de Colegios de
Yeah.
Ingenieros Civiles, we're spearheading a new initiative to really increase the capacity of our members of civil engineers,
Correct.
and especially targeted to a particular type of triple P, which is called the non-solicited proposals.
Unsolicited.
There's a great opportunity through our local chapters. We have 60 chapters scattered all over Mexico.
Hmm.
We are the fifth largest engineering society, civil engineering society in the world, and the largest in Latin America. And you're right, it is the gateway to Latin America. We have several accords, so we are proud of that. And the numbers are large.
Hmm.
And when you're a large organization, it is important to carry a certain um, philosophy. I had to
Correct.
promote a better country. So we are promoting a lot the triple P. So I'm actually the chairman for that.
Hmm.
And we just had a past event where we had with the
Yeah.
P3 unit for the Secretaría de Hacienda y Crédito Público. We're going to enact a MOU. And basically, we're going to become the technical branch for a lot
Yes.
of
Yes.
legislative and municipal and state officials. The engineers, the civil engineers, are the ones can identify at the local municipality the needs in road and water, sanitation,
Correct. Correct.
broadband, you name it. So I think it's an important that we can do that through the non-soliciting proposal approach.
Correct.
The law gives you a lot of opportunity and leeways. So let's take advantage of that and contribute to the better win of Mexico. So I think
That's
those are the main things that we're looking at right now.
That's true. Well, I'll pick two important points and then I'll come to the capacity building aspect of it, Oscar. And especially, I want to drive this message for emerging economies, which are, looking forward to regain growth in the post-COVID-19 markets. Two important points that you mentioned were, one is, of course, the digital penetration or the digital integration that you're looking at. So this is something that I feel is very, very important. And the way Mexico is going, especially, I would rather this be a recommendation for all emerging economies that to go for digital penetration through the PPP way. That's one of the ways to look at it. And through this, because digital is the way going forward, and it is needed for emerging countries also to take up digital infrastructure building, or rather, when I say the fiber optic network, spreading the fiber optic network, it is very, very essential to go through PPP's way, because sometimes in certain parts of the world, the government may not have the resources to, go for it. But in today's world, just like in a couple of decades back when oil was the thing, Today, it is digital. So anyone who is digitally empowered has the gateway to success and has the gateway to a robust economy. That's what I feel. And yes, I'm coming back to the question of the capacity building, Oscar. If you can briefly highlight, since you mentioned that you are a part of the one of the largest engineering associations, and also the way you mentioned, yes, even I agree that we need professionals who understand PPPs. So, can you please highlight some of the ways in which Mexico has dealt with capacity building on PPPs?
Well, we do a lot of training, obviously, seminars
Oscar, your
and
mic is
meetings.
away.
Excuse me. We do a lot of training, seminars, and also a lot of forums where we discuss this type of approach, the triple P. But one of the things that's important is the certification process. We do
Yes.
certify our at least our engineers. We have several international accords with different organizations,
Mhm.
and we try to give them the best management approach, the best tools available in your toolbox as an engineer, project manager, so you can access that and create that capacity.
Okay.
We are very strong in influencing the officials to have the ability to be more institutionalized with a capacity building, because
Okay.
unfortunately Mexico is a democracy in the good sense. I'm not saying that unfortunately, but in the
I
bad
understand
sense,
that. Yeah.
there's not a continuity in the officials. There's a
Correct. Correct.
trend there's a trend to change people around
Yes.
once a
Yes.
certain government finishes and a new one initiates. And starting over with new capacity building is hard. We want to be institutional. We need to have
Yes.
the framework there, and regardless who's in charge of it, the framework's already there.
Mhm.
And that's what we want to do through this alliance we're going to do with the government. We're going to, because we're constant and they
Yes.
may not be
Yes.
constant, we're going to give and certify the projects, not only certify the engineers, but also
Yes.
certify the projects that they're
Yes.
going. So I think that's an opportunity for capacity building. But
Correct.
one thing that's this COVID-19 has teach us is lessons learned. We need to be a more resilient society. We need to
Correct.
take care more of the environment. We need to take care more of the people. So I think people first is the way to go. uh,
Absolutely.
and, and making the sustainable development goals really a reality. And
Correct.
then we're pushing hard. We just signed also an agreement with the Institute of Sustainable Infrastructure,
Mhm.
and we're going to certify through a methodology called Envision
Correct.
that the projects are sustainable.
Mhm.
So we're really taking charge of our destiny as an
Mhm.
organization to really contribute to Mexico, and I'm very proud to be involved with this. But people first is definitely the way to go. Instead of value for money, we're going to do value for people. I mean, value for money will still be part of the
Yeah. Yeah.
methodology, but I think an
That's true.
emphasis of people first is really going to help not only the advocacy, but also the transparency, and also making triple P's more uh, acceptable to everybody,
Correct.
because there's some misconceptions that sometimes triple P's are privatizations, which are not,
Yes. Which are not. Yeah.
especially in Latin America. So I think this is a good thing to engage in that process.
That's true. That's true. And what you mentioned, Oscar, see, every country has its own setup of bureaucracy and its own system of governing a country. And understanding these differences, I definitely understand when a new government comes in, when a new leadership is sworn in, they come with their own different agendas and they want certain changes. To the way of functioning, and we understand that, and that is the reason why there are certain, we feel, I mean, as when we are interacting with a lot of people, there should be certain areas which should be, kept, that consistency should be there. And that is where, as P3 World Council, we are connecting with countries, governments and authorities to make sure that we bringing that kind of sustainability when it comes to certain factors. When you say about being the laying the foundation in context to the legal aspect. And the second very important point, what I speak about, is capacity building. So yes, as P3 World Council, our team is ardently working towards it in order to bring in consistency in the area of capacity building, as well as the legal frameworks. Well, having said that, my question to you, we would want to understand from you, Oscar, how do you see the investment outlook now in the post-COVID-19 markets, especially for PPP projects, how do you see it as affected, and what are the positive areas do you see? Which areas you see would see a lot of investments in the coming future, in the next 8 to 10 months rather?
Well, right now, I would say short term, it doesn't look good. Short term, 6 months.
Okay.
That's a short term, 6 to 8 months. It's bleak for everybody.
Okay.
So that's no comfort, but it's bleak for everybody.
Correct.
However, and then there's a shrinking appetite for the financial markets right now. Obviously, once the vaccine is in place and hopefully, God willing, early next year, I anticipate in the second quarter of 2021, it's going to have a rebound. And maybe midterm, a year and a half from now, we should be back close to or post pre-COVID-19, hopefully.
Okay.
Right now, the situation is that because of this, the ability to the governments to pay, generate revenues for the ability payments is really harmful. But also, we have a situation where the road infrastructure that's told,
Yes.
we don't have enough revenue from that. So
Yes.
we're finding ways, creative ways of coming to agreements. Let me put it this way:
Correct.
the COVID-19 has taught us that risk is the most essential part of the project, and
Yes.
how you transfer the risk, how you manage it, and then the contract management process.
Correct.
We are also trying to implement positions during the life of the contract, which are called dispute review
Okay.
boards, where we have a technical board, we have an economic or financial board and a legal board, which means during the life of the contract, when you're managing the contract, building the facility and then operating, if you have those three things, that will smoothen things out a little bit instead of going to deal with things. Now, looking at the crystal ball from a different perspective, from a positive spin, which I like to talk always positive, I think this is not the first time the world has gone through this crisis. We have gone it 100 years ago,
Correct.
50 years ago, and it's not going to go away. We just need to adapt. That's why the capacity to be resilient is very important.
Absolutely.
But overall, we have, I think, a lot of opportunities to implement new things, such as those sustainable development goals, and make climate change a really important agenda and people first. So let's not waste a crisis. Let's take advantage and create that for the opportunity for everybody. The money will be there because money is there.
I know, that's true.
Money is chasing the interest. So good projects will always be available. It's up to us as a society to really promote that. So I think within a year, I think we should have a nice bounce back, God willing, and we will be okay and start working on really rebuilding the economics worldwide. I think this is an operation, and like every operation, we need to adapt.
We need to adapt.
We need to take care of our families, and be safe. And that's I would say the most situation that's it's prevailing right now.
Correct. My closing question to you, Oscar, is when it comes to Mexico, it's one of the lucrative markets of Latin America, one of the very strategic markets. As we said, it's a gateway to the entire Latin American world, or the Latin American continent. Very briefly, can you please, in regards to the stakeholders who are looking forward to invest in the market of Latin America, what would be your word of advice? I mean, considering how the pandemic has impacted the upcoming economic recovery, your experience, gathering all of that and tying it up all together, what would be your word of advice for international investors and stakeholders who are looking forward to invest and be a part of the Mexican growth story when it comes to PPPs?
Well, Mexico has an advantage geographically. It is plus a 3,000-mile border with the United States, the largest economy of the world still. We have a lot of trade agreements worldwide, not only the US-Mexican-Canada agreement, we also have the Trans-Pacific. We also have an agreement with Europe. and we have a lot of side agreements also. And so geographically, we're blessed. We have the Atlantic Ocean on one side and the Pacific Ocean on the other side.
Correct.
I think that gives us an opportunity to really create, especially on the U.S.-Mexican border, a real logistic platform to exporting goods and services.
Yes.
Mexico can be that platform, and then also looking down south, we can provide the opportunity for our neighbors to the south to grow through our agreements with Mexico, and also use us as a platform to their market. So there's a lot of interest in the southern part of Mexico. We are building a couple of big projects. This administration is really pushing for the development of the southern part of Mexico through the Tren Maya, which is a big rail project, and also the Transísmico train. That's a new project. It's going to connect the Pacific Ocean with the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. We have ports and there, and then one in the Pacific. So it's a small stretch, kind of like a mini canal, but with the rail. And also we have a lot of gas line projects coming from Texas. We enacted an energy reform in the past administration. This administration wants to put its own spin. It's a little bit different, but I don't think it will change that much, especially with renewable energies. We are blessed, like I said, we have good opportunities for solar projects and wind. So I think that's the situation, that we have that to offer the world and the institutional investors. We have a strong legal system. The government is a little bit more center-left than the previous government, but that's okay. You know, that's the beauty of the democracies. Different parties come and they're needed in a strong democracy, and Mexico has a strong enough democracy. And sometimes the shaking the tree helps, because you want to make things changes for the betterment. So I think the overall the government will be wise to continue what's good, and whatever they think they can improve, they improve. You know, they have a little bit more a nationalistic vision with as far as energy through the two big state agencies, PEMEX and Comisión Federal de Electricidad. But it doesn't mean you cannot do strategic alliances with the private sector. It only means that we need a strong energy sector that involves partnerships with the private sector. So overall, I can see a positive spin in Mexico. And hopefully within 2 years, we've been looking back and that everything went well.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Viewers, what I understand from this conversation is Mexico looks forward to a robust economic bounce back. And I'm sure considering the strong fundamentals that Mexico has and the way it has shown a positive track record with regards to PPP projects for the past 30 plus years, I'm sure Mexico has the potential to produce some positive and some powerful and bankable PPP projects in the coming future. What I want to say here is I would encourage global stakeholders and investors to consider being a part of the growth story of Mexico. I'm sure the returns would be something that that would be positive. Thank you so much, Oscar, for spending time with us. Thank you for your views and for your insights. I'm sure our viewers would find it valuable, and it would help us in the other parts of the world to take up these learnings and apply it elsewhere as well, to have and to get some positive and successful PPP projects. On behalf of my team at P3 World Council, I would like to thank you, and we look forward to engaging with you for our future initiatives of P3 World Council as a country representative out there in Mexico in the coming future.
Thank you, Arshad. I really appreciate it. And Mexico is always open, especially you, my friend. And we're good hosts. So once the pandemic is over, come visit us. Mexico is a great country for tourism. So, and we got good foods. And besides tacos.
Thank you. As P3 World Council, and as P3, absolutely. As P3 World Council, Oscar, we do have some big plans coming up for 2021, where we look forward to host regional forums and regional gatherings. And yes, first stop definitely would be a special visit to the Latin America. We look forward to visiting you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you so much. Thank you.